Welcome to the DVT Insights session today. I'm Carl Fisher, the CMO at DVT. Happy to welcome you to this session. Looking forward to what is going to be presented by Anton Keyter. Anton is our lead consultant in the generative AI space. He's presented a number of times for us here on the DVT Insights session channel in terms of talking about how to work with LLMs and generative AI and how to find value in that. From those sessions, we've actually moved on to going, well, a lot of you have now got familiar with it, are using it. Let's take you to that next level in terms of advanced prompting with generative AI. With that, I'm about to hand over to Anton just to let you know that we will take questions from you today as well. Please use the Q&A function if you see that, and I will moderate those questions and share those with Anton. Other than that, we're looking forward to a fantastic session with Anton. He's always both entertaining and informing. Anton, over to you, sir.
Right. Thank you so much, Carl. Yes, and welcome everybody. Wherever you are, good morning, afternoon, good evening. We've got people joining across the globe, so I'm really looking forward to this session. And as Carl said, we will focus on advanced prompting. We're going to use Copilot for Microsoft 365, but obviously this would apply to other platforms as well. If you're looking at Claude, if you're looking at ChatGPT, and some other models as well that we've recently seen. So looking forward to the session, and let's jump right in. So I want to start with a principle I usually touch on when we do a basic prompting discussion. But for this, just for the sake, just to refresh our memories a bit, I ask ChatGPT in a layman terms, what does he think the definition of prompting is? And they say a large language model is an AI system trained on a vast amount of text, enabling it to recognize patterns in large and generative responses, in language and generative responses that seems human-like. Then I also ask Copilot to be a bit more, a bit more detailed, focusing on advanced prompting. And it at this, it's like having a super smart assistant that gets better at helping you the more specific you are with your request. So I underline that part, and that is a big focus of what we're going to look at today. We're going to make sure that our requests are very specific and very detailed, and that's going to push us into the next level. Okay. And I added, normally I add a couple of quotes here from people in the generative and AI space. Prompts are programs. The art of prompting is really about understanding the model's capabilities and limitations, and effective prompt design is crucial for unlocking the full potential of each language model. The choice of words in a prompt can dramatically change the output of an AI system. And the last one I want to stand still a bit, because prompt engineering is sometimes seen as a programming language, and I want us to put our focus a little bit to the side that we would think it's a programming language. It's really conversation. And we do not obviously need to understand all the technicalities around it. We're going to do some technical things. So it's good for us to understand that the technical implementations that we can do, but the most important thing is you need to know what to ask. So I usually say that little window there where you put your text in is sometimes so easy that it becomes this huge barrier to entry. So what do I mean by that is, if you ask a question on that, you can ask anything. We know you can ask anything you want. It will try to answer you. Sometimes we have to be cautious about those answers. We know that as well. But the fact that we can type anything is sometimes a barrier to entry because we do not know how to communicate or what to ask. So today we're going to push that envelope a little bit further. So people that are with very advanced prompting can go so much further, and it's always good to understand your field. AI is only as good as the questions that you ask, and it's always good to understand what you want to ask. And if you know what to ask, then you're going to get really, really good response. All right. So just as a bit of a recap, this is sort of basic prompting. So I've I've compiled these 5 characteristics of a good prompt. Is first of all your purpose, like we have in this example here, generate a personalized cover letter to introduce our services to new clients. So the purpose, what is the goal of a prompt? Those are the basic things that we need to look at. These 5 points isn't necessarily a must, but if you cover these 5 points, you will find that the prompts that you give or that you prompt will be sufficient to the question you ask. Because if you exclude something, it will start doing a probability and decide what the output should be, what the insights should be attention or data. So going to point 2, data or content, you have to provide after your goal what additional information. Even in this case, it's a client's name, the blue part here, or a company and a certain industry. And what's the attention of focus? This is a very interesting thing that people are quite surprised by in the basic context of generative AI, is that you can set the attention of focus. You can say, as an expert in finances or as an expert in general knowledge, and it makes it really easy to change the focus. Just an interesting thing, you can say as an expert in general knowledge, and then you can say as an expert reviewing general knowledge, and you can check those in the same conversation. And it sometimes doesn't make sense, but it just means that the focus changed, and you can apply that focus to specific insights. Talking about insights, insights is where do you want to stretch the question? What do you want to answer? What you don't know? And it's always good to define those insights, and in this case, emphasizing the benefits of unique value. So it stretches your prompt to where you want to go with it. If you just want spelling check or do a nice email, that's not that advanced. But if you really want to understand the depth of philosophical discussion, or you want to design a document, you want to design certain systems or understand the technicalities of a certain white paper, then you can apply your insights there. And then obviously the last one is how it is formatted. So we're going to dive into that a bit deeper to understand formatting, and I've got a few surprises. So let's dive into those surprises. So I'm sure that most of us on this webinar have had the challenge of going into a meeting and you really don't want to go into this meeting. This meeting is, you would have rather clicked cancel or delete on your calendar, but you have to face this meeting. And an interesting way of approaching this meeting, obviously, is to worry about it, sitting on a chair and just worry, what would that meeting be? And you can prepare just so much for the meeting. And it would have been nice to have some insights on the meeting and ask yourself, can GenAI help us? And that's a general question that is a good place to start. So in a meeting like this, you can literally simulate the meeting. I'm going to show you an example now. We're going to simulate a meeting with AI, and this meeting will have various people. We're going to define the roles, and we're going to define a bit of the personality or a bit of the position that those roles or people or individuals or stakeholders are in that meeting. And from those definitions, we're going to set up a simulation. We're going to set up a fake meeting. So what does this do for us? Obviously, it won't be the exact meeting, but it will create a scenario for us. And then we're going to use that scenario in the meeting to see how others could possibly respond and how we could respond. Okay, so let's set it up. Let's create a scenario. Yeah, Anton is here. I'm here. In this case, I'm an account manager, and I'm a personable and professional. So it's a bit of a profile definition. I've got a strong relationship with a company called Havelot Logistics that I made up, company name for several years, and I know the participants well. So it's a bit of a personality profile. We have Robert Miles, logistics. So whatever you put in here in your personality profile. So you could just define this in a document. Very simply, you could define this in a document and say, these are my my stakeholders, these are the people I'm going in the meeting, or I have an interview, these are the people. So you can sort of sketch this a bit. We've got Emily, in this case, operations manager. We've got Peter, the IT manager, and then we've got Ben Botch. Now, Ben Botch was a bit careless. Okay, he shared some information that he shouldn't share, and the whole situation is around Ben Botch, and we want to solve the situation. Okay, so here's the problem definition. Recently, the consultant Ben Botch inadvertently sent an email containing confidential information. So you would basically set up and explain what the problem definition is. And then we want to be able to solve this and see what that meeting could be. How could I approach the meeting? I want to simulate the meeting. Okay. So each individual will have its unique concerns, and I need to structure a plan to address these effectively, preparing for the meeting, mean anticipating their responses and navigating the dynamics. So this is a very personality-driven thing. So we want generative AI to respond to us on how personalities would act. So it's not only this clean technical thing. We can really tap into the understanding of emotional intelligence of the AI. Okay, so we're going to use AI. What if we could simulate the meeting? Role playing. We're going to do role playing and help me craft the meeting. Okay, let's jump in. So here you're going to see we're going to use Copilot for all this demonstration. We're going to apply Copilot, and this is the prompt we're going to attach to it. And I've just copied that table. You'll see it's just a rough copy. You don't need to format it nicely. I just selected and pasted it in here, and I asked for it to wait for my instruction. So I have the roles, the problem definition, and I ask it to wait for my instruction. That's a very important part. And you'll see that text block there seems very unformatted. And you'll also notice we did the web connection there in Copilot. So it's asking us how we would like to proceed. And let's say, yeah, let me assist you with your communication. So now we're going to tell it how to do a turn-by-turn simulation. Now, this is a bit of a go-to prompt. What it means is it's a prompt I saved, but the words that's very valuable is turn by turn. And it says that this is the problem. It's a simulation. We want to address the problem description. Remember, we mentioned the problem description before. And we've mentioned the roles. And the important part is that turn-by-turn dynamics. The turn-by-turn dynamics, and scrolling, sorry about that. And that will simulate the meeting for us. Okay. Let me just go there, turn by turn. Each turn will include thoughts or verbal responses from the above individuals based on their roles and personality profiles. Okay, and then let's see how that goes. This is the objective. Exercise designed to provide realistic preparation for the meeting, simulate various scenarios, perspectives and challenges. And we're doing simulation number 1. We can do more than one simulation. So we're going to send that out. We've got the roles. We have the problem definition. We've asked it to simulate the turn by turn. Those are the key words you can use. And you'll see it simulate the meeting. It says there's Anton, myself, what I would say. So this is just the idea. Simulation 1, turn 1, there we go. The meeting start. I start with good morning, everyone. Just a simulation. Robert could say this, and Anton, this is a breach of confidentiality is unacceptable. So it will take those roles and the profiling, sort of the personality analysis that we do. Emily agree. Peter sluggish, no ill intent with that surname. It was just a demonstration. And Ben Botch as well. And we can see he deeply regret his mistake. Poor Ben is in the same meeting where he's being discussed. Okay, so just for the sake of a demonstration. And you can see the insights that you can lean on. So it can give you a couple of insights what this meeting would look like. It must be detail-orientated and allow Ben to express it to create an output. Okay, so we have to be a bit lenient towards Ben. That's what he suggested. And I said, okay. So it asked me, so how would you like to proceed now? So you can literally type in your response. I would say response from Anton. It may seem harsh, but should we replace Ben? Again, poor Ben is sitting in the meeting and I say things like that. Shame on me. But let's see how it responds. And it will do the second step in the conversation. So you see it's very fluent. You can say what maybe somebody else would say something or you would say something. And it does the same thing and it's waiting for the conversation. So this is simulation 1, turn 2. And Robert Miles, replacing Ben might seem like a straightforward solution, but we need to consider the implications. Very rational. I like that response. And Ben said, I understand the gravity of I'm willing to undergo additional training, whatever is necessary. You can see Ben really wants to come out. It's a situation, the guy, difficult for him. And now we're going to make another suggestion and I am going to respond again. I'm just doing a couple of responses just to make sure that I show you a full simulation. I want to show you another simulation as well. Response from Anton. What about if we, sorry, mistake there. I'm just going to create that. If we give Ben another chance. Okay, now we're getting, having some sympathy for Ben. Let's see what it comes up with. Simulation 1, 2, and 3. There, Robert, giving Ben another chance is reasonable, but we need to ensure we're safe. You see that personality of now, we have to make sure everything is in place, that there's safeguards and prevent a repeat of an incident. So it's really nice. As I said, it will give you an idea, and now you internally, you don't need to just worry now what can happen, and it can really be helpful. So let's do another, just the last one, just to show that let's give Ben another opportunity to say, okay, let's review the risk and impact with Ben, and let's make sure he understands the impact he did so. Okay, now you can see. So you can enter those into the discussion. Okay. Great. That is a good approach. Robert Miles liked that because he's a very systematic person. And there you go. And Ben, there you go. See the approach. Good approach, Anton. Okay, he loves that. And then Ben is like, I appreciate the chance to understand the film. Committed to learning from this and ensure it doesn't happen again. Lovely. Okay, so already now you have some ideas for that meeting. And the reason I say thank you is maybe AI takes over the world and they will remember I said thank you. And then I won't be in so much trouble. Okay, let's start. Oh, sorry, spelling mistake. Let's start simulation number 2. So you can start another one. You can start another one. And right, so now it's going to do another simulation. Okay, there we go. And so you can literally go on and say, what if this is a scenario, or what this happens, or what are the, so it just helps you to mentally go through a scenario like this. And it's really a convenient way. It's really a convenient way to simulate. Now you can apply this to so many areas. And I think the key words that we need to understand is define the roles and the profile, the personalities or the specific responsibilities. Doesn't always need to be personalities if you're uncomfortable with that. The second part of it is looking at the problem definition. So I'm going to go back to, see if I can go back to, it's going to go back, but it's okay. And then obviously the important part is you tell it to wait. You've got the roles, you've got the problem definition, you tell it to wait, and then you say simulate a turn-by-turn meeting. And then you can say how you want it to be. But those are the key aspects of this type of prompt. Okay. Okay, now the next example of advanced prompting. Did you ever wonder if you can ask a generative AI to tell you what to ask? So sometimes you want to start and you do not know where to start. And it's very, very simple, actually, to just start the conversation. It's that same thing. Just start and just ask the question. And I want you to be very alert to this example, because what we're going to do is we're going to do two things here. we're going to ask AI to show us what to ask. But in the example, we are going to do a bit of coding. Now, please don't remember, previously I said this is not coding, and now, Anton, what are you doing? You're mentioning coding. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to create an HTML page with AI in the pro. While I'm showing you to ask AI what to ask, we're going to create an HTML page. So it's a bit of a two examples, so you need to be aware of that, and you need to be alert. And let's see how we can do that. So we've got this interesting solution here. We've got the Going Beyond projects, and we want to create a flow diagram with HTML code. Okay. And it requires a detailed flow diagram to illustrate simplified ideas like adoption, innovation, execution, metrics, and engagement. However, I don't have coding experience, and manually creating visuals feels overwhelming. I need a simple way to turn my ideas into a structured, shareable visualization. Okay, what if AI can generate a functional and professional flow diagram in HTML without needing coding? So AI helps you. You've got this page. You can use it in a presentation very easily, or you can just copy and paste it in your presentation, just as an image visual. Okay, so it's a very, very simple process. Here's the prompt, how I would start. And you would see anything beyond this underscored, underline piece here. I need help creating a detailed prompt. You can ask your LLM to say, help me to create a prompt. And you can tell it to tell you what the prompt, you can ask for what the prompt. And you can say, that will later be used to generate an HTML code for a flow diagram. The prompt should be detailed and very insightful. So very insightful, that's sort of a keyword that you can use. That's a powerful keyword that you can use when you have conversations with AI. Okay, and then you define what it is about. It is this project, and you want adoption, innovation, and the metrics. And now there's going to be an interesting part here at the bottom. It's going to say, don't do the HTML code yet. So, just to make sure it's got focus, the prompt must clearly describe every necessary detail to build a fully functional single file HTML code. Now you're going, Anton, how am I going to go from the HTML code to my browser? And the simple answer is we're going to take what it gives us, put it in Notepad, and open it with the browser. Very simple. When you save it in Notepad, you can double click on the file and it will be viewable in the browser. Okay, so let's go through the process. I'm skipping certain steps for the sake of time. We don't have a lot of time, and opening Notepad, I expect that you know how to open Notepad, save content in Notepad, and then double clicking on it and open it in an HTML file. So let's start the process. Okay, so remember the project. We're going to go on the website here of Copilot. Always remember in your chats so we can have focus on the conversation. And now that prompt, we're going to ask it to give us a prompt. So I need help creating a detailed prompt. Remember what I said previously, but we want to do this in HTML. Okay, and we've got a couple of data points. And then we're going to ask it to do that. We want a fully functional HTML single file. So you see there's the prompt again, and it creates the prompt. So it's telling us what to ask. It's literally telling us what to ask. And here you go. And you'll see a line there at the bottom and a line at the top, and there's the prompt. It says, create a single HTML document that generates a top-down flow diagram, organogram for the Go Beyond project. And it even put the structure and styling. I say I don't know nothing about these things. It just add those things, and I can just copy and paste it basically, and just use that prompt. You can even save it now for later use and change it, and you'll see even it was so nice to say include comments in the HTML. We're not going to use the comments, but it's really interesting to see. Okay, so now we're going to copy this prompt as an instruction. Remember, between those two lines, we're not going to include the bottom part. We're just going to copy that. And the important part is we start a new conversation now. And we're just going to paste that prompt. You don't need to do anything else. You paste it. That is the prompt, and you tell it to go. So remember the path. HTML to a notepad to your browser, and we want a flow diagram. Now it's got a detailed explanation. Thank you for that. The code, we don't understand what that code is, but we're going to test this now. We want to see what it is. So I'm going to copy this, and you're not going to see it on screen now. And just this part you see there, and I'm just going to click copy. I'm going to paste it in my notepad. Then I'm going to open it. After I pasted that, I'm going to open it. This is a simple sample HTML file. I pasted it, and now I'm going to load it in my browser. Okay, I'm omitting that part, and this is what it gives you. This is exactly what it gives you. It gives you the Go Beyond project, and there you have a little flow / organogram. But say we want to change anything. Now you can talk to the GenAI to do changes. You can say add more subnodes under the main nodes. You can literally talk as if it understands that view. And we're going to do it. Make the layout insightful. Okay, add more subnodes, make the layout insightful, and we're going to ask it to do that for us. And remember, we're going to get code as well. And we're going to send it off. Now it's going to create, it knows it must create code. Remember, this is the context. So it's going to create those subnodes. It knows it must create. You just said add subnodes. You don't need to redo everything else. It created the code for us. It said there's the subnodes, there's the layout. And now it added like responsiveness, which is not important for us, but that's okay. We're going to do the same thing. Copy this code, all the code, go to your notepad editor, paste it in the notepad editor, and then we go back to that. We're just going to go back to that, and we're going to reload, and it's going to show us the update. And there we go. There's the update. It's a bit big now, but now you can prompt again. You can say, okay, I don't like the structure. I want it to be more like this. I want it to be less colorful. I want to add this in. So the purpose of this example is firstly to show you that you can create HTML. And here's the file. You didn't know what it says here, but you can use that as a tool. And there's the HTML. Okay. And we've asked it to create a prompt for us. So that's the first we take away from this. We ask it to create a prompt for us. Second takeaway is you can create HTML code and load it in a browser. So I tried to cover those two examples for you. Are there any questions, Carl, that I can answer now, or are we still okay to go?
We're still good, Anton. Just again for our audience, if you do have any questions or comments, please just take a look at the Q&A section that you should be able to access at the top of your screen. We are putting a few comments in there alongside what Anton is presenting at the same time. Anton, perhaps just a question here is to kind of just extend this and go the capability when interacting on the prompt line to generate other formats that interact with other applications. Perhaps you could just touch on that for us quickly.
That is good. So I'm glad you asked the question, Carl. The next example will show us in more detail how to interact with other content. But for that matter, for those of us on the call that's a bit more advanced in coding, you can create any code. You can create Python code, you can create C++, C, any other type of code in the chat. So yes, you can do that. Thank you for the question.
Fantastic. All right. And again, to everyone attending, if you do have any questions, please just post those for me in the Q&A section or put it in the chat and I'll pick those up there for Anton. Thank you. Thanks, Anton. Back to you.
Thanks, Carl. Okay, let's look at the next example. Sorry for the bit of a pun here on cloning two sheep. It would be nice if I could save my long AI conversations for other topics. So now that you've become accustomed to using AI, you're having long conversations, you're getting more comfortable, you know how to ask, to update something or to change something, and you're having this long conversation and you feel, oh my goodness, this is just amazing. I want to save this whole conversation. How can I save this whole conversation? But I want to use it for other topics. So it's a concept of cloning it, but not exactly. Cloning it and using it. So you want to do research, whichever conversation you had, or it was some concept that you really want to carry over to another conversation. So let's use that example. So say you're working for a company, or you want to research. You're an account manager and you want to research a specific company. I'm using Sanlam as an example here, financial company, and I want to do research for Sanlam. I had a valuable conversation with Copilot. It helped me analyze challenges, identify key stakeholders, and map opportunities. This conversation is critical for future use. I need an efficient way to save and revisit it. But if AI could save my conversation, later use, making insights accessible whenever I need it. So this demonstration will also be a bit long when I show you how we're going to do it. So first of all, I am going to set up a conversation, but in this, I'm also going to show you something very interesting. How to draw a mind map, not with HTML. Remember, previously we did it on our browser. Now we're going to do it with another tool called Draw.io. Draw.io is a free tool, and it's very easy to generate content to be able to use in Draw.io. So it's going to make it very easy for us. So let's create a conversation, use it as a tool to learn something to draw in Draw.io with AI, and then let's save that conversation, and maybe we can use it for next time. You can save it in a Word file or your notepad, and you can reuse it. So let's see what this is. So we're going to have a couple of prompts here, and I'm not going to go into all the detail, but just to sort of set this up for you. The first prompt we're going to give 3 main prompts, and then we're going to save the conversation. The first prompt is sort of identify the challenges for 2025, focus on understanding critical issues. So it's not so much what the prompt says, but I want to show you that we're going to ask it. This is the output part. Remember what I said about those 5 characteristics of a good prompt? So here we define the output. The output should include concise research findings, highlighting advanced and non-obvious insights. Now here's the parts. Create a simplified mind map in Mermaid code for Draw.io. There you go. Oh, now we're coding again in Mermaid. What is Mermaid? Mermaid is sort of a standard just to create drawings, and Draw.io supports Mermaid. Again, you don't need to understand Mermaid. It's just that word is sort of a key word that you can use later. And we want this map that we're going to draw that focuses on purely on the advanced relationships. Okay, without unnecessary detail. Then we're going to do a second prompt as well. Okay, you don't need to remember this, obviously. It's just a question of showing you how we set up a conversation to draw things. This time we're going to focus on other divisions and we're going to modify them. So I'll do it a couple of times to show you, so you can really remember how to use Draw.io. So don't worry about that. And then the last one, we're going to create a strategic plan and update the mind map again. So, and this is going to have a to-do list as well. Now, this conversation from these 3 prompts will set up really nice insight for us, really nice understanding of the challenges and the strategy you need to follow. It can be obviously any scenario. Then we're going to save it. Then the last one, we're going to create a generic prompt. And you can just say, from this conversation, create a generic prompt. You don't need to have this complicated one. I just ask for it to be there. That is the setup. So we're going to jump to that. Just to review, we're going to do 3 prompts. We're going to do some research. I'm going to show you how to draw a mind map in Draw.io. I'm going to show you 3 times so you can remember. And then we're going to save this prompt for later use. So this is the power of this whole conversation. That prompt for later use, you can then apply to any industry. So it's sort of creating your own methods of research. Okay, so here we go. Again, we're on the website of Copilot and we start a new chat so we can have this conversation focus on what we need to do. First prompt is that the key areas in the business of Sanlam in South Africa and for the challenges they have for 2025. So the content is not so important. Remember, we said it's going to create mermaid code to draw the mind map. Now it identifies the challenges and the individuals, and there's the mind map, there's the code, and it looks a bit different than the previous one. Okay, and it's for 2025 investment, and it's got the key decision makers there, different areas of the business, and there's a simplified mind map. And now we're going to select this code. You see there's the challenges for IO, as I said previously, and it's mermaid code, draw IO. So remember that. This is the first example. You're just going to select that as we did with the HTML. Remember, we're going to copy. Now I'm going to go to draw IO. I didn't show you how to type this in, but just remember the website, draw.io. We're going to create a new blank diagram. It's a free tool. You don't need to pay for it. And we're going to create just a clean canvas. Now, this is the trick. So now you have to, okay, you can draw on this. You can add your own things here, or you can say, go to the plus. Remember now, plus, advanced. Let's show you again, advanced. And you see there's mermaids. Okay, you go to mermaids, and remember that text that we copied? You click there, we remove this that we have here. Remove this, and we're just going to paste in that little code part that it gave us. Now you're going to notice something interesting. Here's all the divisions. We say insert, and it draw our mind map for us. Okay, so now you can edit it. You can really just move it, change colors. You can zoom, you can delete things, whichever way you want to present this. It's a really nice tool. And then at the end of it, you can just copy and paste it or export it. So it's really convenient and really useful to use this. Okay. There you go. You can see the areas that it identified. And okay, but now let's go to the prompt 2. So remember, we're building a conversation. So okay, let's go back to the chat that we had. Don't start a new chat. We're building a conversation here. Now we're going to do the second part. We're going to do a bit more research. And the reason I'm doing it so many times is to set up a conversation and make sure you understand how to draw this, because you can save a lot of time with this. Now we're going to refine the initial research by integrating new data, the other divisions of Sanlam, specifically examining how these divisions might interact or influence the identified challenges. Okay, and again, we said the last part here, it should update the research with only the most relevant findings and modify the mermaid mind map. Okay, you can see there clearly, modified, reflect the new insights, removing redundancy, just a couple of points. So the trick is that mermaid code, you can actually say just mermaid. Okay, now it's going to do further research, searching the web for us, going to the web. Now it says, okay, we've found some additional research, and it's continuing the conversation. It's based on this new conversation and the previous prompt we had. It added the divisions, investment, life insurance, and here's our updated mind. Okay, so we're gonna copy this again, just to do another example. We're gonna do another one after that, so don't worry. We're gonna copy this. Now we're gonna go back to Draw.io. Remember that tab is still open. And just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm gonna select everything and I'm gonna remove it just so we can start with a clean canvas. And then we're gonna do the same thing. So just follow along now. We're gonna go to plus, plus, and then we're going to say advanced. And we're going to go to mermaid. Same thing happens here. We're going to remove that part. Very easily done. You don't need to understand the code. I'm going to paste that part, and it's going to create an updated mind map for us. However you want to do it. Remember now, these prompts can be adjusted. There's the updated mind map. So now you can again move it around or edit it, add new links, however you want to change it. You can see different areas. You can see the involved people. So if you want to do planning, conversation with them, and it's quite extensive. Okay. There we go. This is really convenient, and you can use it for other diagrams also, not just mind flow diagrams, system diagrams, various. Okay, so let's take it a bit further. We're just going to expand on this conversation. The next one, now we're going to want a sort of a strategy or plan to have conversations. And the next prompt, let me just get prompt. You add this prompt, and you'll notice that. You'll see this one: develop a strategic plan, an experienced account manager to effectively engage the individuals, and we also want to have a to-do list. Have a to-do list. Okay. Right. That's the mermaid mind map. Another thing, so this is the last time I'll show you, but I'm sure after this you will definitely remember how to create drawings with mermaids. Then draw. There's our to-do list. Now this is just the use case. You can obviously insert your own use cases. There's the key people, and we have the updated mermaid code again. And you can see now it tells the strategy and how to approach. So let's select the mermaid code again, and we do this one last time, and then we're going to get to the punchline of this demonstration. Again, I'm going to select. We go back to Draw.io. I'm selecting. Remember, I copied that mermaid code. I'll be moving this now from the canvas, and one last time, going to plus, going to advanced, going to mermaids. And this is, again, very easy. You should be able to do this now without a problem. Paste that new mermaid and say insert mermaid code. There you go. You see the mind map. This is part of the strategy, and there you have the strategy. Okay, so I've showed you 3 times now, and we set up a nice long conversation. So now, say we are very happy with this. See now, healthcare, health insurance, how can I go to these? As I said, you can do different diagrams. But for this example, we just did a mind map. Let's go back to the problem. Now we want to save this problem. This was so beneficial to us. Say this is amazing, the results are amazing. And later we want to use it for other companies and other years as well. Say 2026. Now this is we're going to ask it, create a generic prompt that replaced the methods and output of this conversation for any specified company. You see I did put sort of square brackets there for that industry and that year. So we're just going to create a generic prompt. So you can ask it, create a prompt from this conversation. It's simple. I'm just adding a bit of detail to say maintain context and content. Okay, and encourage self-discovery, be concise, and then we're going to clearly convey instruction. Okay, so now it's going to create another prompt. Now we see here, identify. So it's going to use the aspect. It's going to give examples, what it should output. And it took that whole conversation and created a generic conversation. There's the detail about the conversation. So I can save this prompt now and use it for other companies. Let's copy it. Let's do an experiment. Let's do an experiment and see how this turns out. We copy that part. We don't use the last part because it just refers to the prompt. Copy it and we start a new conversation. Very important. So now we're going to research another company, let's say IBM USA. We just paste that prompt as is. We go up and we replace the company. We're going to put in place company or industry. You can put industry there if you want. IBM USA. And then the year, we're going to say the year is also for 2024. Okay, now it's going to do that same research and it's going to create a strategy for us. And it's going to create the mermaid code for us. I'm not going to paste the mermaid code again, but I wanted to show you that this is literally a clone of the conversation that we're having. And the results, I'll save the results from the previous conversation. There you go. Find the areas, business, these are the key areas. Even identified the roles of the individuals. There's the mermaid code, there's the strategic plan. Remember, we got to the strategic plan in the end. So there you got the same result as you got for all of the previous conversation. Okay, so that was 3 very intense examples. And this is basically the end of the demonstration. And I wanted to leave a bit of time for any questions. And if you want to ask questions, you're welcome. And any other use cases that you think, you're welcome to ask the questions. Thank you, Paul.
Great session, Anton. Thank you so much. And again, to our audience, if you enjoyed that, a couple of hand claps here for Anton, I'm sure would be appreciated. Really seeing some of those come through. Thank you. Anton, I guess in the interim, and again for our audience, just pose your questions in the Q&A section if you do have any. One of the other things that I would imagine is always the glue for folks is basically working through a scenario that basically says, can I export the content or the output from a prompt session through to an Excel format? That's always something I think folks rely on, yeah?
Yes, that is correct. You can apply this to various other tools and various other scenarios, and it makes it very convenient to have an adaptable prompt or adaptable scenario using prompts.
I think one of the things that we've spoken about at length is going, while it looks fantastic, people, there are some caveats to consider in terms of working with prompts and the content that you get back. Anton has obviously demonstrated using OpenAI's ChatGPT through Copilot, so the Microsoft ecosystem, which does put guardrails in place, both in terms of the prompts that you can actually ask and then the returned content that comes through. Anton, are there any other considerations that you would just want to make people aware of as they're getting into advanced prompting?
Yes, obviously there's, from the Copilot perspective, there's so many other tools that we can have very long conversations, but obviously we try to build on these. From Copilot perspective, Copilot also has these conversations that you can have on documents, on presentations, on your meetings, as you said, in Excel as well. So there's various other applications within the Microsoft Office suite that you can use Copilot on. And there's also an interesting concept of what they call agents. So agents would talk to your data specifically. We would attach files, and then you would have conversation on your data specifically, or you would attach a file and use this to create content. But the security aspect of this is a big part of it. And if you do this within the space of the Office 365, Microsoft Office 365, then you have that assurance that your data is safe. And that's a big thing. As you said, Carl, the security around this is a big thing for everyone. And it's always good also to make sure that the responses that you get, you review those responses. And another thing is never let AI make decisions for you. You have to review those responses. It's getting less and less, but sometimes you can cut it out because maybe it didn't phrase. And if you send an email, you have to take responsibility for that content. So always read through it and don't just trust it, copy and paste. It's never a good idea to do.
100%. I think that's something I've heard you echo a lot with customers when you've run these training sessions for them, is to go, it's a fantastic tool, it brings efficiency, it has great capability, but you still need to take responsibility for what it produces, and you need to apply common sense in terms of validating that output. Absolutely. I think you've fully answered one of the questions that we did have about what to put in and what not to put in. And I would probably just extend that question to, where do people really find the most value in this, Anton? Where is it that they suddenly go, great, I'm getting value out of my prompts, and I'm actually finding that it's being productive for me?
So when you start, normally it's just a question of helping you to create content or reviewing the content that you already created, because you have to find your comfort zone with using generative AI. And it's usually review this email or make it more professional, something like that. And that's where it starts. And then it goes deeper to even help you with planning. And for every person, your skill level and how you train or how you experiment is a very important part to the benefit, the level of the benefit. And you need to allow yourself to play with it, to experiment with it. Because if you're not going to play or experiment with it, the benefit will not be obvious. That's the one thing. The other thing I want to mention is, don't give up too soon when you have this conversation. If it's not responding correctly, confront it. So I don't agree with this. Please give me another answer, or make it, do this. Or that. Don't give up too, because I've seen people, they prompt and then they said, no, this is too much. No, just prompt again, ask a question again, and you're going to get better at it. It's not like a programming language. It's more like a conversation. And AI is getting smarter and smarter very quickly. And the more detail you can give in your conversation, the more accurate your responses. Just as a quick example, I see we're running out of time. To come back to the point where you have to really play with it, really experiment with it. I usually give this example. I had my family, my children sit around me, and we played a little game with a story that I created, and I put in my children's name, and they are all superheroes, and they are stranded on this island, and they have superpowers, but the superpowers are only connected to kitchen utensils. And people were on the floor, and that was a very good exercise, and you can see the parallel between that meeting a little bit, because we created the story as we went, and we inserted into that story, and it's the same with a meeting example like that. So you have to play with it. You have to be curious. It's very insightful, and the knowledge stored in there, we're getting with these newer models, we're getting to a PhD level in certain instances, but it will never replace a human being, because the human being still needs to ask the questions. You still need to understand what to ask.
Fantastic, Anton. And I think we haven't got any further questions at the moment. Just to answer the one that was there, yes, the session is being recorded, and that will be posted and shared with all of our DVT Insights content that's both available through our website as well as through our channel on YouTube. There will be upcoming sessions with Anton again. If you are a client or a potential client of DVT and you'd be interested in contacting Anton, let us know. Anton does run these sessions in person for our customers too, and helps them get up to speed incredibly quickly with the value and power of generative AI through these applications like Cope. I think for any of you that have seen the possibility, you understand very quickly how much is possible to be done with the tools in a responsible way, and taking into consideration things like security and the practicality of data sharing, etc. Anton, I think on behalf of the audience, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise today. I know that's been very informative, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to the next session with you to take us even further in the road with generative AI.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carl. There's so much coming up, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. And again, look out for the next DVT Insights session. We do have some very interesting stuff coming up
in this month, including conversational agents, voice agents, and how those can be applied in administrative situations and how those can help you generate more revenue for your business. So that's coming up soon. Look out for that session and join us for that. Have a great day, and thank you for watching this session.